Title: Echoes Beneath. The moment I stepped back into my childhood home, the scent of bleach and stale air punctured my memories, a noxious reminder of the life I once led, before the whispers, before the shadows took form. My family didn't greet me as a prodigal son returning from a noteworthy journey. They looked at me like an unwelcome specter, a haunting they thought long buried. They had wasted no time turning their backs on me the day I became obsessed with the truth lurking beneath the city, the day they branded my passion for sewer cryptozoology as insane. "Those tunnels are nothing but urban legends, Thomas." My mother's voice echoed in my head as I climbed the familiar creaking stairs. "You'll lose your mind down there. What will people say?" Their warnings had been drenched in concern, but even as a child, I could see the mocking glimmer in their eyes. I was the family disgrace, a social pariah wandering in the realm of shadows while they basked in the light of normalcy. Years passed, laden with isolation, until a veil of recognition finally draped over my name. I was no longer the deluded man claiming that the bold sewer system whispered secrets of grotesque creatures. I had become a celebrated figure in fringe anthropological studies, a beacon of unsettling discoveries as I uncovered the truths hid beneath our concrete behemoths. But for my family, the sting of ridicule was still fresh. They never spoke of my achievements, never acknowledged the countless creatures I catalogued or the dangers I survived. And now I stood at their doorstep, a world-renowned expert filled with insights that would chill even the bravest souls. The city's horrors were real, and I had unraveled enough of their mysteries to earn a place among those who dared to acknowledge the shadows. I didn't expect forgiveness. I sought acknowledgment. If not respect, then fear. When I entered the living room, my father's eyes narrowed, and my mother recoiled as if I were a ghost from her worst nightmares. My sister, once a source of warmth in my frigid existence, merely turned away, huddled in a blanket like a child shielding herself from the terrors of the dark. "Why are you here?" My father's voice was a low rumble, devoid of affection. "I've come to show you," I replied, my pulse racing with a mix of dread and anticipation. "You need to see what's down there. You need to know the truth." They snickered, but I could see the flickers of anxiety dimming their laughter. The shadows cast by the setting sun seemed to crawl across the walls, thickening as I pulled a black satchel from my back, revealing photographs and sketches, evidence of what I had faced. "Look," I urged, laying them out upon the coffee table. "These are the forms I discovered, the entities that exist in the depths." "Paranoia!" my mother spat, her hands trembling. "You're sick, Thomas. Get help." And then, as if in response to her denial, the room was plunged into silence, a heavy air settling over us. An unnatural chill coiled around my spine, and I instinctively knew then that the shadows were not merely confined to my discoveries. They were already here. A low drone reverberated through the house. Like 1,000 whispers weaving a tapestry of dread, I felt it in my bones, the haunting resonance of the ancient, cursed sewer network threading its way into our reality. "You don't understand. They know," I warned, the urgency tightening my throat. "You can't ignore the warnings anymore." That's when it happened. In a flicker of dark movement, something emerged from the shadows, a length of darkness, unhallowed and pulsating. The very embodiment of what I had studied for years. Its twisted form slithered into view, a grotesque amalgamation of forgotten nightmares, and its eyes, countless, glimmering, all watching. My family screamed. It was a sound laced with disbelief, a cacophony of regret surfacing as they finally grasped the weight of their mockery. My father's bravado cracked, and he scrambled back, knocking over a lamp, while my mother clutched my sister, who was frozen in terror. I watched as their contempt transformed into sheer horror. "This is what I warned you about," I shouted over the din. "You thought I was out of my mind for believing, but now it is real. You've disbelieved too long." The creature, a tapestry of fury and sorrow, loomed before them, its grotesque form expanding and contracting as if absorbing their fear. The room vibrated with its presence, a living echo of everything I had endured alone: the ridicule, the isolation, the knowledge that darkness thrives where ignorance reigns. "I showed you the truth," I shouted, my voice trembling. "The price of disbelief is heavy, and it's here to collect." Realization dawned in their eyes, but it came too late. The shadows closed in, wrapping around them like a cocoon, until they were swallowed by the very darkness they had refused to acknowledge. Their cries morphed into a horrible symphony, a symphony of regret, as they faced the consequences of their ignorance. And in that moment, I felt the burdens of my past dissolve into a haunting catharsis. They had witnessed, finally, the terror I had encountered. I had returned not merely as a scientist, but as a harbinger of truth. I had survived the darkness, and while they were consumed by it, I stood resolute, an echo of what could have been, what should have been, had they listened. As the shadows whispered their secrets, I realized I had emerged not only as a guardian of knowledge, but as a remnant of their